Welcome into the Farzy Show, everybody. I'm Mark Farzetta. The show is presented by my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. I am in deep smit. I am smitten. I am in deep smit with Jalen Hurts, with Nick Sirianni, with this defensive line. I got to give credit to Jonathan Gannon. Whatever he drew up, it wasn't all about aggression in this game. Mark, there were 9 sacks. Yeah, there were 9 sacks. With 4-man rushes, only one of those sacks did not come on only a 4-man rush. Only one of those 9 sacks came when he sent more than 4. There was one sack, I believe it was the 8th sack of the game. TJ Edwards blitzed up the middle, and it was Brandon Graham that got to Carson Wentz. So he has to give more credit to the defensive line. But hey, Jonathan Gannon, whatever you drew up before this game, whatever your game plan was, it was working. Devontae Smith, I mean, we'll get to all the people in the Farzy 5, the post-game Farzy 5. And compare some notes to the pregame Farzy 5. But as far as I'm concerned, this was just total domination. And it's weird because it was one quarter of football that the Eagles as a whole dominated an entire game. Like, it's all they needed. But defensively speaking, they dominated for 4 quarters. It was absolutely unreal to watch what this Eagles defensive line above all else did, what their defensive backs were able to do yet again. Very much impressed with what I saw from the Eagles yesterday in this amazing 24-8. What a weird score. Victory over the Washington football team. The Commanders. Just when I got used to saying the Washington football team, I got to work on Commanders now. I heard Mike Quick right before the game on the radio talking about how, what is a commander exactly? Well, I'll tell you what a commander is. Whatever. I don't even know. But whatever it is, it gives up 9 sacks. It's so crazy how the world can change in just a few short years, especially when it comes to our feelings on Carson Wentz. Here we are one moment thinking this guy was going to be the franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future and all that. And next thing you know, he's playing for his 3rd team in 3 years, and he's getting sacked 9 times by the team that originally drafted him to be the franchise guy. It was just a wild thought that kept on running around in my head. I am just beside myself with how well that. Usually it's beside myself with like how that happened. And now it's more like, how did that happen? It's amazing. It's more a bewilderment. It's amazing. I'm just amazed by this football team right now. And the thing that is the most encouraging in all else, defensive line had a great game. It was great to see. It was great. Jalen Hurts' improvement from last year to this year has been exactly what I have wanted to see. Throughout the whole offseason, I know there still are. They haven't gone away through these first 3 games. Through the offseason, we've talked about Jalen Hurts, and we've talked about what we need to see from Jalen Hurts. We need to see accuracy. We need to see him survey the field. We need to see him not run so much. A lot of people feel like he was looking to run. I always thought he was looking to buy time, and if a lane was there, he would take it. We need to see the deep ball from Jalen Hurts. Check. And then the Eagles are going to hand him a big check. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but it's going to be in the not too distant future because this is your starting quarterback. Now, you might look at the Jaguars normally and go, oh, they're not that big a test, whatever. Well, they're playing some good football, and they're well coached. If anyone should know that, if any fan base should know that, it's right here in Philadelphia, that they're well coached with Doug Peterson running things down there, and they got a pretty good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence and all that stuff. So we'll examine that game as the week goes on. But right now, Jalen Hurts is playing like the guy we wanted him to play like. Even people that were hating on Jalen Hurts saying, just declaring he is not the guy. Even those people right now have to look at this and go, look at the vast improvement he has made from last year to this year. Look what he has done for this football team. This guy is playing at an insane level. You know, Jalen Hurts right now is 3rd in the NFL in passing. He has the 3rd most, but Jalen Hurts has the 3rd most passing yards in the NFL right now. That's bonkers to think about. Back-to-back 300-plus games. Back-to-back 100-plus passer rating games. It's only the 3rd time in his career he's been able to do that in a short career, by the way. And a guy that even last year, he's not a passer. He's not a passer. Can't throw the deep ball. Can't throw accurately. Can't take what the defense is giving him. Well, he's been doing that through 3 games. It's been wild. And even in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have expected from last year to this year to see the amount of improvement that I have seen. It's wild when you think about an athlete and you go, what can he do to improve? And then in the offseason, you're like, oh, he's working with Tom House. He's working on his mechanics. Oh, okay. Oh, he's actually getting together with Devontae Smith and Quez Watkins and now A.J. Brown, because the Eagles added A.J. Brown. This is pretty good. Everything he was supposed to do, personally, he did in the offseason to be ready to play at this level this season. He's done that. He is now playing at that level. Everything the Eagles did to bring in talent, to surround him with, especially A.J. Brown, especially keeping this offensive line together. Guess who was taking full advantage of that? Zach Pascal, bringing him in as a weapon on the offensive side of the football. Everything has come to fruition through these first 3 games. Early in the season, you'll hear Nick Sirianni talk about it, I'm sure throughout this entire week, and every time he addresses the media, it's only 3 games. We're 3-0. It's a 3-game winning streak. It's just the way we've started. Plenty of teams start great, and then they trail off. They got to keep this team focused. They got to keep this team with their eye on the prize. And with this coaching staff, and especially the veterans on this team, I do not see the Eagles trailing off. Will they have an undefeated season? Hey, even I am not a big enough homer to say they're going to go undefeated, but they're going to have a damn good year. And all of a sudden, 10 to 11 wins was my prediction before the season. I said 11 wins. I was firm on the 11. I had been saying 10 to 11. I settled on 11. 11 wins. Seems like it is well within grasp of this Philadelphia Eagles team, both for the way this defense has played and also the way this offense has played. It has been great to watch. Everything is coming to fruition. And I was thinking about this during the game, mostly at halftime, actually, and I was thinking about it. Howie Roseman put together that great piece of paper with all these nice names on it. Hassan Reddick kind of leading the charge, A.J. Brown being one of them, right? He had this really nice piece of paper. Darius Slay from a few years ago still on that list. James Bradbury on that list. Jordan Davis, who had made a play yesterday, batting out a ball. That's great. But, like, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, that paper that looks so good in the offseason looks even better on the field. Because let's say you lose that Lions game. You didn't. You stuck it out. You held on. You won. Let's say Justin Jefferson goes off in one of those games. Oh, then you lose that game. My point is, you look at the way they played these 3 games, they have exceeded expectations for the way they have played these games. Has it been perfect? The record's perfect, certainly. Has there been things that we could certainly point out and nitpick over? Like some of the play calls you saw before that 4th and 1 play that they tried the end around with Zach Pascal? What the hell, Nick Sirianni? Shane Steichen. Yes, we could certainly nitpick at things like that. But what I continue to just think back on in awe is the vast improvement between last year and this year with Jalen Hurts. It's been the biggest difference. The paper looked great in the offseason. Now the paper on the field is looking absolutely phenomenal, and that's because the quarterback, that's because of the general manager, that's because of the head coach, and that's because the veterans are doing exactly what they should be doing. Brandon Graham, God bless you. Just getting after Carson Wentz yesterday, time after time. Seemed like he was always in the face of Carson Wentz. And when they got that shot of him during the game of him just sitting, putting a knee down, so taking a knee on the sidelines there and just like winded, say, hey, you earned it, man. You take a break for yourself. You take a break for yourself. All right, let's jump in. Let's jump into our Farzy 5 for today. Then we got some stuff I want to get into regarding the game yesterday. But I was, number one, I'm going to start off with this. These are actually going to go in order of importance. The defensive backs in this game, ladies and gentlemen, it's the second straight week the defensive backs of the Philadelphia Eagles did exactly what they were supposed to do. Now, when you hear who's number one, you'll get the balance, all right? Because we always say these two things go together. But for a second, let's just look at what the defensive backs did in their own right. Every time you saw Carson Wentz drop back to pass, and on the rare occasion where he had time, there was a man there defending. Every single time, whether it was Darius Slay, whether it was James Bradbury, whether it was Avonte Maddox stepping up in a goal line situation to fill a gap to stop their tight end Thomas from crossing the goal line on a 4th down, 4th and goal, right before Boston Scott got sacked in the end zone for a safety. The defensive backs were blanketing these Washington wide receivers. And this is a good group of wide receivers. These are some talented guys that were just kind of wiped off the face of the earth yesterday. They held Carson Wentz to an 11.4 QBR, held him to a 71 passer rating. And you saw one guy in Terry McLaurin really eat yesterday, got 100 yards. Most of those yards were in garbage time. Most of Carson Wentz's passing yards were in garbage time yesterday with the game well in hand. And if you look at the first 3 quarters of play especially, you look at guys like Slay, Bradbury, Maddox that were just taking care of business. CD Deuce got burnt on one play. I'd like to see him still, I guess, find his identity on this defense a little bit. But he still played well overall. For a guy that really the only thing I'm grading him on right now is 3 games as an Eagle and 4 weeks as an Eagle in total. Yeah, he's played okay. But overall, another game where the Eagles defense stepped up through at least 3 quarters of this game and didn't really give up a lot of yards until that game was well in hand by the Eagles. So I got to give a shout out to the defensive backs right there. They come in at number 5, so the bottom of the list. Again, going order of importance today. Coming in at number 4, it's just good to see him make a play. And when everybody else on the defensive line is making a play, it's good to make a play. Jordan Davis is one batted ball. I am grasping at straws for Jordan Davis just to have some little fleeting moments of success just to give the rookie confidence. So good on you for that. Coming into number 3. As great as he's played, I look at some of the names on here, and he's number 3. He's number 3 on my list. Number 2, I feel played better overall in this particular game. And number 1 was the star of the show. Number 3, Jalen Hurts. I mentioned it's his second straight 100 passer rating game. He's only done that 2 other times in his career. John Clark put this out yesterday, these numbers that just absolutely blow me away. He is the first quarterback in history. Jalen Hurts, the first quarterback in history with 900 plus passing yards and 100 plus rushing yards in the first 3 games of the season. As I mentioned earlier, he's 3rd in passing yards with 961 passing yards on the season through 3 games. This is an incredible start to Jalen Hurts' season. When you look at those numbers and you say something along the lines of no one's ever done this in history, oh, that's pretty impressive. But it's not just about him. It's about the team, and the team is 3-0. Jalen Hurts had some great things to say after the game, and we'll certainly get to those as the show goes on today. But when it came to a variety of plays being called, when it came to guys stepping up for him, when it came to him finding time and getting out of the pocket if he was under pressure, protecting the football, not trying to force things, Jalen Hurts did it all yesterday. And he's really been doing it all for the first 3 games of this season. The game that they absolutely don't win without him as their quarterback is the Detroit Lions game. You can make the argument that the defense was great in the next 2 games, or maybe somebody else comes in and runs the offense and they're good enough, but they don't have the dominant runs that they had in those 2 games against the Vikings and then just yesterday against this Washington team without the way Jalen Hurts played. I was just blown away by it. It looked like a totally different quarterback than what we saw last year. And the other thing that impressed me about Jalen Hurts yesterday was the poise, because he got sacked 3 times, and he was moved off his spot a number of times, and they did send blitzes. But my number one thing, and this is where I'm comparing notes to my pregame 5 and my postgame 5, I was curious to see what Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera were going to do with Jalen Hurts. What were they going to draw up? What were they going to scheme to try to take him off his game? And whatever it was, it didn't work. Because if you look at the numbers, just the numbers from Jalen Hurts, yeah, run-wise, he only had 20 yards on 9 carries. But if you look at his passing game, 22 completions, 35 attempts, 62 quarterback completion percentage, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 sacks. A QBR of 85.9, passer rating of 123.5. Good Lord. Whatever they drew up on the drawing board, I'm going to go ahead and assume that they could have done a better job with that. Could have done at least a little bit of a better job. And fortunately for the Eagles and Eagles fans, they did not. Now, after Jalen Hurts, coming in at number 2, I got to go with Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith played out of his mind yesterday. Here was my one concern. We've talked a lot about Jalen Hurts and what you wanted to see from year 1 to year 1 as a starter to year 2 as a starter and improvement. There was one thing I wanted to see from Devontae Smith. One thing I wanted to see in particular from Devontae Smith. And I'm going to call it man hands. Okay? When I would sit in the press box with guys like Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas, and I was just a wee lad getting started in the business, they'd always say the same. And they said it, I remember it was about Kevin Cobb. Wait till he gets hit by a man. Like, let's see how he does when he gets hit by a man. Not some college kid, but by a man, right? So it made me start thinking about college kids coming into the NFL with these professionals, especially these veterans, right? And it got me thinking about when will they start playing like men? Like, there's little things, little intricacies in their game that are still very young and immature and need to come along. And one of those things is Devontae Smith. Phenomenal route runner. Great speed. Precise when he made his cuts. Like, everything right there was great. Great hands when it came to just catching the football. The only thing, and this is a little bit nitpicky, but last year, the only thing, if I had to pick one thing from Devontae Smith and just say, from last year to this year, what do I want to see? From year 1 to year 2, what do I want to see improved upon in Devontae Smith's game? And I'm going to call that man hands. Because there was a couple of different situations last year where Devontae Smith caught the football, had it in his hands, and then swipe. Some defensive back, some safety, some linebacker would just swipe their hand down, knock the ball out. And it was like weak hands. It was like small hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, secure the ball, man. Bring it in. Show me some man hands. And, oh, man. Yesterday, oh, man hands. Deep ball. Go up and get it ball. Slant route. Screen play. He was strong with the football. The catches are not what's surprising to me. Seeing a guy like Devontae Smith get 8 catches for 169 yards, nice. That, to me, is just, that should be par for the course for him. I mean, that does not shock me that he had that type of game. I know he's that talented a receiver. Also with a touchdown, by the way. That was wild to watch that. But the most incredible thing yesterday for me with Devontae Smith, when it came to all his variety, if you go in and you look at that 44-yard catch that he had with 30 seconds left, with time ticking away there in the second quarter, Eagles already up 17-0. First off, Jalen Hurts, to credit him again, drops back, puts his back right foot, so puts his back foot on his own 45-yard line, heaves that ball down to essentially the 3-yard line, where Devontae Smith comes down with it, goes up and gets it amongst 2 defenders, 3 in the shot. There was also another Eagle in the shot. But Devontae Smith goes up there, very well covered, and comes down with the football. Comes down hard with the football. And I was like, that's it. Those are man hands. Then what happens? The 4th and goal play. Jalen Hurts drops back. Nick Sirianni and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts both acknowledged after the game that play was not in the playbook. Well, guess what? It is now. Devontae Smith, corner of the end zone, not on a fade route, but a go up and get it. Well covered by St-Gis. And Devontae Smith went up and struggled for the ball and got it. Fought for the ball and got it. You know what he did it with? Boom. Man hands. It's year 2. We've said this a lot. I say this all the time about guys in the preseason, just look like you belong. That's the only thing I ask for rookies. Just look like you belong. Look like you belong. Oh, he belonged. Year 2, especially. He has gone from, he's a rookie. He's really talented. Oh, great. He's very talented, extremely talented. Pro Bowl. That's what it feels like the jump is from last year to this year. Same thing with Jalen Hurts in a lot of ways. It feels like last year Pro Bowl consideration, great. Then you look at what he can do this year. He's doing some special things already. He is playing at an incredible level right now. And I just hope it continues because I'm all here for it. So Devontae Smith comes in at number 2. At number 1. Number 1. Obviously, the defensive line. I mean, what else can you say? 9 times. 9 times. Nove? 9. I think that was Spanish. Nueve? Nova, I believe, is Italian. 9 Ferris Bueller's Day Off reference. 9 times. I went back just because I wanted to make sure I had this right. 8 of the 9 sacks came with 4-man rush. Only one. That was the Brandon Graham, the second sack, second and a half, 2.5, whatever. That was the 5-man rush with TJ Edwards up the middle late in the fourth quarter. Josh Sweat had one as well. That was a 4-man rush. Josh Sweat had 2, actually. That was a 4-man rush. It wasn't Jonathan Gannon dialing up exotic blitzes. It was crazy. In the fourth quarter, when they started racking up yards, Carson Wentz started racking up passing yards. That was because you were sending guys out of coverage to get after Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz was actually getting rid of the ball quickly at that moment and moving the ball downfield. But it was not unlike his game just last week against the Lions, where he didn't score. They didn't score a single point until the second half. I think it was 27 points they scored. All of them came in the second half. Carson Wentz's numbers all came in the second half. When I was doing the pregame show with Seth Joyner on Jacob Media, Seth had pointed out, if you looked at Jalen Hurts' stat lines this season, and then you looked at Carson Wentz's stat line, odds are you would want the guy with 7 touchdowns and 3 picks. And that would be, you'd want the guy, Carson Wentz. Player A versus player B. You don't know their names. No. Player A versus player B. You want player A with that nice stat line. And that's where I always say, numbers don't lie, but they do sure as hell deceive. And I looked at those stat lines, and I looked at the names, and I went, well, that's Carson Wentz. You know, you could force him into mistakes, and that's exactly what the Eagles did to him yesterday. They forced him into a terrible game, and it's because of this defensive line. D-backs, I told you there was going to be a correlation between number 5 on the list and number 1, but without question, the defensive line is who made this game. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. You look at what Josh Sweat was able to do. Hassan Reddick coming off the edge. Needed to see a big game from him, and boy, did you see it yesterday. In total, Graham finished with 2.5 sacks. Hassan Reddick, 1.5. Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, also 1.5. Javon Hargrave got 1 as well. TJ Edwards did get a sack. To me, it was just an incredible game all around by what this Eagles defensive line and what their defense did overall. So for me, I was just blown away. I had that wrong. It wasn't the TJ Edwards play. Yeah, TJ Edwards did get a sack. So, they only sent 4 on that play, I believe, as well. He was the 4th guy. But to me, it was just a dominant game by this Eagles defense, and that's exactly what you wanted to see going in this game. It's funny. Like, oh, yeah, we respect Carson. We like Carson. Carson's great. Carson's phenomenal. Oh, Carson's a great guy. Sacked him 9 times. Could have fooled me. One last thought I did have on that defensive line and what the Eagles were able to do to Wentz. If you remember, and we played the cut of Nick Sirianni talking about how they had enough resources in the building. They had enough resources in the building to really know Carson Wentz and know how to take him off his game. I'd say it's like they had the cheat code in how to get to Carson Wentz yesterday. And to bring him down 9 times is total and utter domination. Apparently, and I heard Ruben Frank talking about this, the record is 11 sacks in one game for the Eagles. They got to Troy Aikman 11 times in 1991. They've done 10. They had 10 sacks in 2 separate appearances, 2 separate games, and 9 sacks yesterday. Not a bad day at the office, as they would say. Not a bad day at the office. Let me tell you about. So to recap, I'm going to go with the Eagles defensive backs coming in at number 5. Then I got my man Jordan Davis making a play there at number 4. I got Jalen Hurts at number 3, Devontae Smith at number 2, and the Eagles defensive line. Their entire defensive line making things happen. Before I get, let me just say this real quick. I don't know what the hell happened or what got into the mind of Nick Sirianni when they turned the ball over on downs on the 4th and 1 play that end around. I believe Washington had just called a timeout. Before that timeout, Nick Sirianni said after the game that the Eagles were going to run a quarterback sneak. So they come out for the 4th and 1. And I'm thinking, let's not get cute. Don't overthink this. Still run the quarterback sneak. And what do? They run an end around with Zach Pascal. And what ends up happening? They end up turning the ball over. And what's the first thing that crosses my mind? Jason Kelce, on his podcast with his brother Travis Kelce, poses the question to Travis, and he goes, "What's the one play, game of the line, whole thing? One play, you got to get 1 yard. What play you running?" And Travis Kelce goes, some kind of rollout. And I'm like, that's the worst idea. Cut the field in half. No thanks. I'll send you to what's his name, Matt Ryan with the Falcons in the NFC divisional round before the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. The rollout, cut down half the field. Stupid. But that wasn't I don't believe that was a 1 yard situation. But Jason Kelce screams, there's only one answer. There's only one correct answer here. And that's a quarterback sneak. He got 1 yard, quarterback sneak. And my thought was, well, it's easy for Jason Kelce to say that. He's a Hall of Fame center. He'll move anybody, especially with his very strong, very mobile quarterback behind him in Jalen Hurts. Yeah, you're going to get that yard. So now let's bring it back to yesterday. 4th and 1, second quarter. Eagles driving. Washington calls timeout. I'm thinking, just the quarterback sneak. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And they run the end around to Zach Pascal. That was the type of play that even if it worked, even if they got the first down, even if they ran it in for the touchdown, because they were on the 8-yard line, I believe, I would have been like, all right, it worked, but not the right call. Like, it's a happy accident. All right, good for everyone. It worked. Wrong play call, but it worked. Well, it didn't work because it was not a good play call. And I think Nick Sirianni kind of overthought it for a second there. And I think Shane Steichen kind of overthought it for a second there. And you're like, nope, this is the play. I say about it all the time with Jonathan Gannon and defense. You know what? How about instead of, let's make game plan and design our scheme just for this one opponent? Or how about still sticking to what your bread and butter is? Being your best, putting your best foot forward, and throwing that in the face of an offense and saying, you deal with it. All right. Well, your bread and butter on offense, especially on a 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 or whatever it might be, you go to the bread and butter, you get behind your Hall of Fame center with a very strong, very mobile, very athletic quarterback, and you line up and you go for that every single time with a quarterback sneak. Because Jason Kelce's right. There's no other play that works more consistently than that they get 1 yard than the quarterback sneak, especially when Hurts is your quarterback and Hall of Fame center Jason Kelce is right there in front of him. Yeah, you gonna get me that push. You gonna get me that push. Number 2, if I'm nitpicking, on the safety. Deron Payne's a very, very good football player. He's very, very good. He's made a career out of getting in the backfield. On what planet is it okay for Dallas Goedert to line up again? Dallas Goedert is a very much above average blocking tight end. If you remember the game in Atlanta 3 years ago where they had to scrap their entire playbook because Dallas Goedert all of a sudden couldn't play, they had to throw out their run game essentially because Dallas Goedert wasn't playing. That shows you how good and how much they rely on Dallas Goedert as a run blocker. In a safety situation, I wouldn't exactly. I would make sure that he wasn't on Deron Payne. Something's got to change there. And maybe another suggestion. Hey, how about this one? Another quarterback sneak just to get you a little bit more cushion. Huh? Yeah. All right. At 3rd, Britton Covey. Settle down, son. Settle down, son. A little nervous. Made us all a little nervous. Made us a lot nervous, actually, at certain points. But still a little nervous. You got this, brother. You dominated training camp. They traded away Jalen Reagor. I know I don't need to see Devontae Smith anymore on special teams, please and thank you. So Britton Covey, just settle down, son. You're catching a pillow. You're catching an egg. It's a nice egg. You're catching it. You're loving it, and then you protect it. I'll say this: after he muffed that one punt, he protected the football. I think at the expense of his own health, because he got smacked around quite a bit. But you see his face before the hits, and he's just like, "Oh, I care about is holding onto this football. Forget about any returns. I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm doing the basics because I don't want to risk it." Oh, pots and pans! What a day! What an absolute day yesterday. I will mention the Phillies. They split. I said before the series against the Braves, is it too much to ask that they split? And it wasn't. So they did. Should have won 3 or 4, but they didn't. And now we won't see them until the playoffs. End their season on the road. They're done with Atlanta. We won't see them until the playoffs. Yeah, I'm sticking to it. This playoff team. Let me tell you about my man Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. When it comes to all your amazing diamond purchases, trust one man, the man that's been in the business for over 40 years in Philadelphia. That's Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price, each and every day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com. Let me tell you about Manscaped, ladies and gentlemen, and their Platinum Package 4.0. It's their greatest and biggest ultimate hygiene bundle yet. Because, fellas, you want to look good everywhere, right? Well, Manscaped Platinum 4.0 is the one-stop shop you'll need for the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and it also comes with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks, so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. Also comes with the Ultra Premium Body Wash, 2-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, crop preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant. Huh? Crop Reviver ball spray toner. Oh, my goodness. Anti-chafing boxers and the shed travel bag that'll help you hold the goods that you'll be using to manscape your goods while traveling with Manscaped. Manscaped's the leader in below-the-waist grooming, and now you can trust them with the whole shebang. Join them in the 4 million men worldwide that use Manscaped. With Manscaped.com, use promo code Farzy for 20% off at Manscaped.com. That's promo code Farzy for 20% off at Manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Guys, if you like CBD, if you use CBD, Freestone Farm CBD is where you got to go and use promo code Farzy for 20% off. Their insane tropical tasting Bayox clocks in at a chart topping 24.1%, and their super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. They grow all their premium hemp flower in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM, so there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. So make sure you use our friends at Freestone Farm CBD, Freestone Farm CBD, when it comes to all your CBD needs. You've heard me talking about Mojo. Mojo is incredible. I've always looked at players as stocks. I've talked about this before, the rise and fall. Well, Mojo actually makes you put your money where your mouth is. Here's what we can look at right now when it comes to Mojo. When you look at guys right now on the Eagles, Jalen Hurts stock continues to rise on the Mojo app. Download it to your phone. Also check out mojo.com as well. Jalen Hurts continues to rise. He's up almost $10 from last time this week, currently trading at about $46.50 a share. Devontae Smith currently selling at $15.15 a share, up 14% from this time last week. It's amazing what a 169-yard game will do. You've got Lamar Jackson, been playing out of this world so far this season. Currently the 17th most expensive quarterback on the Mojo market. Looks like a steal to me. Comes in about $60 a share. And you got some fallers, both literally and just with Mojo. Carson Wentz, 9 times fallen yesterday. Carson Wentz is down $3 a share from this time last week after getting shut down by the Birds yesterday. He's now trading at about $46.41. Finds himself, ironically, priced one slot below Hurts. That won't last long. It'll be longer. It'll be more. Austin Eckler's another one. Continues to see the price fall. He's now down to $16.65. That's what Mojo does for you, folks. Each player is stock. The app currently offers the NFL with over 300 skill players across quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. And each athlete stock on Mojo has a share price that rises and falls in real time. This is what you got to do. You got to make sure you download the Mojo app to your phone. It's available in New Jersey on iOS. And plus, just downloading the app, you have a chance to win up to $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Click the link in the description for a chance to win up to $10,000 in free shares of player stock. Must be 21 or older and physically located in New Jersey to trade on Mojo. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And also check out mojo.com for more information. Let me tell you about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. All right, but without further ado, let's get to our Rothman Orthopedics post-game report. I want to get to you guys some of Nick Sirianni talking about how proud he was of his defensive line yesterday while sporting a Mike Quick jersey. I've never seen a coach wear a jersey after a game. Never seen it. For Nick Sirianni, it works. He said he did it because he liked Mike Quick's numbers. He averaged 19 yards a catch against, 19 yards a catch in his career against Washington. That's why I wore the jersey. Here's Nick Sirianni, though, lavishing praise on his defensive line.
They played their tails off. They were awesome. We thought that they could get after them a little bit, and they did, and that's the strength of our team. And so that's what you want in a division game. You want the strength of your team to go out there and play like they did right there. And man, it was a full team effort there, a full defensive line. It wasn't just one guy; it was all the guys that really got after it, and it was fun to watch.
Who is it? Who's getting after Carson Wentz? Everyone. I'm sorry, what was that, sir? Everyone. Movie reference. Jalen Hurts. I've talked about from last season to this season what he has done, how he's improved his game. Yesterday was just another shining example of that. His third shining example of that. I mean, I even said after the first game of the season against the Lions that I didn't get enough of a sample size. We saw him improve. We saw him accurately hit his receivers in stride and all that. And that's great. But I see enough of a sample size to go, okay, wow, he really has improved. These 3 games, oh, wow, he really has improved. Here's Jalen Hurts talking about that work paying off.
I think, as I said it out there on the field, the work we put in the offseason is supposed to show in times like this. The trust we have in one another, being on the same page, to see it paying off now is great. Well, we know there's more to it, and we know, it's just the beginning. But I have a numerous amount of trust in every guy on the field, 88, 11, 6, 16, 3, all the running backs, everybody. You see G. Count coming in there making a big-time play when Dallas wasn't available. Same with Jack Stoll. So it takes a group effort, and together everyone achieves more.
That was Jalen Hurts yesterday talking about not just himself, obviously, but the rest of the team and how that hard work pays off and how it's been paying off for the first 3 weeks of this season. And I just continue to be blown away by this guy's maturity. And he's not a second-year starter. He's a 10-year starter, it seems like. And that's sort of what it feels like. And what is the biggest thing for me, because I was the guy banging the drum the whole time that Jalen Hurts' arm is fine. Well, so far this year, it's looked more than fine. It's looked damn good. When it comes to the strength of that arm, the deep ball he's able to throw, it's more than fine. He's improved upon it. I thought last year it's serviceable. It's a serviceable arm. It's not going to kill you in a game. It's not going to win you a game. It's serviceable. This year, it could win you some games. And some of the big throws that he made yesterday are an example of that. That's one major leap forward I've seen from Jalen Hurts. The other is just the pinpoint accuracy I have seen from him for the majority of these 3 games. And it really comes to guys moving. It comes to guys on the slant. It comes to guys running down the field with the deep ball in general. That's a big step forward for Jalen Hurts from last year to this year, because I felt like a lot of those balls last year were high or they were too low. They were out of the reach of the receiver. Receiver had to make a play on the ball as opposed to just worrying about trying to get some yak. Well, as far as it looked like last year, this year it looks like, oh, that's in stride. Oh, that's in stride. Oh, that's in stride. Craig Calcaterra gets his first catch as an NFL tight end across the field for 40 yards. Jalen Hurts put it in his hip pocket, led him perfectly, and he was able to run with the football and get some yak. Dallas got it on his touchdown. Yeah, it was a screen, but it was right there for him. Like, that's what I wanted to see from Jalen Hurts this season. Accuracy. One of the main things. And boy, have I seen it. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Finally, I got 2 more for you. This is the attitude you want every receiver to have, and Smitty said it twice yesterday. Devontae Smith yesterday, when he was asked about what was going through his mind when that ball was headed his way in the corner of the end zone for the final touchdown of the game for the Eagles to put them up 24-0 in that second quarter, right before half. And this is what Smitty said: 4th and goal. Push has come to shove. Jalen Hurts drops back, finds Smitty in the corner of the end zone. Here's what Smitty was thinking when that ball was headed his way.
50 type
ball. Nobody.
Could you take us through the last play of the first half? What you saw there, specifically when the ball was coming in.
My ball and nobody.
My ball or nobody's. That's just put it on a t-shirt. My ball or nobody's. That's the attitude you want every receiver to have. That ball's that's mine. For the basketball players out there, every rebound is your rebound. It's no one else's rebound. That's your ball. Go get it. Devontae Smith got it. Speaking of getting things, I don't know if you guys heard this. I may have failed to mention this. The Eagles sacked former franchise quarterback Carson Wentz 9 times. One person I want to hear from after that. And yeah, I want to hear what the head coach has to say about it, sure. But the other, I want to hear from the guy that came up with 2.5 sacks. And that guy's name is Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham on the defensive line's performance yesterday.
We just played together, and the biggest thing for us was just making sure that we do what we do and not worry about nothing else. And so I think that we played together well today. The defense stayed together. Even when we was up, we just tried to make sure we never let off the gas. And I'm proud of the boys on how we fought all the way through the game.
Together, play with each other, play with one another, and you're good to go. I don't know why that keeps happening. Technical damn difficulties. It's on my end. But that was Brandon Graham after yesterday's win. And it's how do you not just be ecstatic for a guy like that after that kind of success? Let's jump into the chat check and see how everybody's doing on this fine Monday morning after the Eagles' victory and the Phillies loss. Kevin, good morning, Kevin. How are you? April 3-0, baby. Happy birthday, April. 3-0 start to the season. Mally, what's going on? Okay. I'm going to, by the time I get to the chat, so vote now. Yes or no. First off, do I even have? Well, where would I have put it? Okay, there you go. Okay. I'm going to let it up to you guys in the chat. I was going to just reserve the twerking penguin for December because it's Christmas. And the twerking penguin was a Christmas gift from my neighbor, lovely lady, who thought my daughter would love it. My daughter did love it. My audience loved it more. So it's still in the office here. It's still in the studio here. So just, yes, give me the penguin, or yes, twerk it up, or whatever you want to say at the end of the chat. Just put it at the chat. Just vote now at the chat before I get to the end of the chat. Yes, I want to see the penguin. No, we good. So just let me know. And by the end of the chat, if you want the penguin, I'll give you the penguin. I'm not going to hold back a penguin if you want the penguin. Everyone needs to twerk a penguin every once in a while. I thought that once in a while meant December. But if you want to see it, I'll do it. Because I'm a servant of the people. In case you guys didn't know, I'm a servant of the people. So Maui says it's time to break out the twerking penguin. If you guys want it, let me know at the bottom of the chat here. April, good morning to everybody. April, oh man. Mark must be pushing buttons. 'Tis true. Marquise Graham, good morning. What's going on? Is the beer getting a little long? Beer's getting a little long, isn't it? It is, I know, I'm sorry. The only commander I know is Cobra Commander. Mally, well played. Way to appeal to my generation. Mally, Howie drew up an amazing game plan on offense and defense. He's a mastermind. April, defense was beating Wentz like he owed him money. He may have. Sean Gillespie, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Marquise, now all Eagles need is a solid return man. Defense and offense check, but special teams needs improvement. Marquise, I concur. Again, me watching Covey. Okay. Hurts needs to hire Tom House full time, or the Eagles need to hire him. Sean, and then you know what? That would just be greedy. Oh, wow. Marquis, that's interesting. Brandon Graham, definitely a front runner for comeback player of the year. I like it. Giants, Dolphins, Eagles, last remaining undefeated teams in the NFL. Eagles may not lose a game till Colts or Packers in late November. Hey, Jeff, I'll take it. Thank you. Marquise Graham, people, a.k.a. haters, said Hurts can't throw. Let's see. Smitty. SEC wide receivers, baby. Smitty and Brown. Sean and April, very talkative today. April, you know what's funny? So if you guys didn't see it, I know Avonte Maddox said he wanted Wentz's jersey, knew he wasn't going to get it, thought Dallas Goedert was going to get it. Dallas Goedert did not get it. Jason Kelsey got it, which is really the only right answer as far as I'm concerned. But April, I did look at that. April, I looked at it, and you know what? I was like, yeah, there was some grass on it, but I was like, not enough. Not enough for 9 sacks. I would have put it past Carson Wentz to have another jersey on the sideline somewhere after being sacked 9 times and be like, you ain't getting that dirty jersey, because then people are going to look at it and go, dirty jersey sounds terrible. Anyway, you're not getting that. Here's a fresh one. Hang on his wall. Wow, he must have got sacked a bunch of that game. 9 times, if you can't believe it. Hurts is answering all the questions. Jim Grassmeter. Yes, he was. Jim Grassmeter, who's hurting more, Wentz or Covey? Wentz. Sean, Wentz hurts all over. Oh, God. Come on. Mally, yes. Mally, you can't vote. You're the one that asked the question. Jim, yes. Yeah. Sean, yes, bring the Penguin. April, the Penguin lives. Jim, my only 2 concerns. Okay, so that's not about the Penguin anymore. All right, well, there's no no's. Don't use the Penguin, so I guess I have to use the Penguin now. My only 2 concerns of the Eagles, taking their foot off the pedal in the first 3 games. I'll tell you this, with this veteran leadership, I don't think the Eagles are going to take their foot off the pedal. They're not going to win every game. Okay, let me just get this out of the way. But I don't think losing starts now. I don't think losing will start against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, both teams will have something to prove in that game. We all know. The good news is for the Eagles, that game is at home. It's in South Philadelphia. Eagles early, -7 going into this game. Early 7-point favorites. All right, here you go, folks. Hold on a second. I give the people what the people want. Now, I have not used the twerking penguin since last winter. We're still in the month of September. I was going to save this for 2 months. But since you want this, I'm giving it to you. You sick freaks want to see a twerking penguin. The twerking Christmas penguin. Well, guess what? You're going to see it. Here we go. You're sick. All of you are sick. I forgot how disgusting that was. Just disgusting. Shall be very proud of yourselves. With the Eagles playing as well as they have, it feels like Christmas has come early. Okay, now let's just hope they can play like this through Christmas and into the new year. Let's get into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. Sean Gillespie. I just noticed the Penguins' enhanced backside. Wait, hold on. Giola? Am I saying that right? Only our Philly fans. April, that penguin is ready to start a shift at Delilah's. Well, there we are. There we are. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. It's not Christmas. Oh, the twerking penguin's here. It's Christmas. Either that or the Eagles are just playing great. Eagles have a 1 o'clock game coming up Sunday. That fella. Now, let us not forget Press Taylor, of all people. Press Taylor is their offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. What a lightning rod of a guy in Philly, just because he couldn't rein in Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz's buddy. Yeah. Just one of them names that will live in infamy in Philly. Like, only Philly will remember this name. And you know what? Hopefully he has a nice career for himself in Jacksonville. Press Taylor will probably end up being a head coach one day. Let's live. That'll be a world we live in. I kid you not. Press Taylor will be a head coach in the NFL one day, and we'll all go, Press Taylor. Anyway, So that's what the Eagles got coming up in a week. Phillies, yes, as I mentioned, they failed to win 3 of 4 against the Atlanta Braves, despite the opportunity to yesterday. Yesterday, they had a long rain delay in the 5th inning of that game. They ended up losing 8-7 in extra innings, unfortunately. But the Phillies are back at it tomorrow, so they have an off day today. Then they're back at it tomorrow against the Cubs. They'll open up a 3-game series in Chicago, then a 4-game series in Washington. That's where I think the Phillies will clinch a playoff spot. Magic number is 9 now, I want to say. 2.5 games up on the Brewers, who lost yesterday. So the Phillies failed to have an opportunity to expand their lead. Actually, let me just double check that. I was so caught up in the football world yesterday. I just wanted to double check that, so I'm not giving you guys just dreadful information. I know there's somebody listening right now. They're like, no, that's not it. Check your notes. Oh, this is dreadful. I'm embarrassed. I'm absolutely embarrassed. What can I say? Get to this right here. Okay. My fat fingers are not getting the job done here, folks. Phillies a game and a half up. Excuse me. They were a game and a half up. They missed an opportunity to go 2.5 games up on the Brewers. However, the Padres have won 2 in a row. They're a game and a half up on the Phillies for the second wild card spot. Phillies are just a game and a half in the wild card standings right now up on the Brewers. So hopefully they solidify that, look a little bit better as the things wind down here as they go on this very long 10-game road trip. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is the Farzy Show, presented by my man Steven Singer, Steven Singer Jewelers. Jim Heineproof's program did a phenomenal job, as per usual. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, go Birds. And you're welcome for the twerking penguin. Never say I don't do anything for you. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.